Natalia. You're slowing down and losing altitude. What is the situation?
Sir, a fragment wasn't fully recycled into powder. It's blocking the reactor valve. We need to remove the debris. If we don't, the core will melt.
Roger that. We're considering our options. Please stand by. Over. Mission control to Harvester. Here's the situation. We won't be able to repair the station within the given time. Our most valuable option is to let the station crash. Evacuate immediately.
We can't do that. The impact would kill millions.
Don't worry. The trajectory has been checked. It will crash in...
Wherever it will crash, it will destroy lives. We could blow up the station and...
You're out of your mind. The debris created will overflow Earth's orbit. Space will be doomed. Evacuate.
If the station crashes, the Earth will be doomed. I'm opening the safety valve.
Natalia Sadrova, you are dismissed. Effective immediately. You are no longer authorized to operate the Harvester. It is your last chance to evacuate. Over.
Hello there, we are the Harvester team. Have a seat and get ready to join us behind the scenes. The story is set in the future, where a giant spaceship harvests tons of space debris around Earth's orbit.
Regarding the artistic direction, we wanted to depict space pollution with something more relatable, ocean pollution. During pre-production, I had to establish storyboards and different concepts for the Harvester, its inside environment and light ambiances.
The Harvester was my main challenge. I wanted to treat the station as a huge deep-sea monster, so I started gathering aquatic references. The ship is pretty organic, so I used ZBrush to block the main ships. It allowed me to focus more on the design and less on technical issues. After topology, I went back to Maya to continue the modeling.
The challenge during filming was to make the action of Natalia walking aboard a gigantic spaceship believable, while filming was set in a room measuring only a few square meters. Due to the lack of space, we decided to create a CG double to give us more freedom in our framing choices and respect our storyboard.
Each shot presented its own unique challenge, requiring a customized workflow to ensure constant quality. The use of dynamic lighting was a key to help the integration. but it required to be completely matched in CG.
As Harvester contains a lot of 3D, we had to be very careful about the interaction between the arena and the CG. Therefore, we created all the contact points in real life to capture realistic and consistent contact shadow for integration.
During pre-production, we chose to replace the console with CGI. I made a practical asset and built a 1:1 scale green console. The scale accuracy and the on-set photogrammetries were very useful to layout and replace the props in the 3D space. I did classic modeling in Maya and textured the console in Substance Painter using projection and mask from photos to add more realism.
We went for an industrial look inside the harvester. This was a challenge because of the volume of art surface modeling required. So, with Nicolas, we created assets for the machine room and made layout and look dev procedural as much as we could.
To simulate the tank and the grating, I created proxy geometry from different assets. That optimization allowed me to have faster simulation times and much lighter caches. I then re-injected the high-resolution geometry using the proxies.
To create the alien fluid, I used mainly flip simulations with variable viscosity and divergence to drive its movement and shape. We were also able to add an extra layer of detail as a displacement map on top of the meshed fluid. In the machine room, we had many shots where we had to see debris and conveyor belts on their way to be recycled. To do this, I created a setup that gave us a lot of artistic control over these elements. Some debris were simulated using vellum grains, others were simply deformed using the conveyor belt as a reference. This allowed us to be efficient and to not waste any time.
FX being slow to render, we use a combination of stock shot and custom-made simulation directly made using Nuke's particle system.
I made the reactor room, which has a more organic feel and more signs of destruction than the machine room.
To match the lighting in the reactor room, I recorded on-set dynamic lights to later animate CG lights intensities in comp.
The lighting of space being simple, we had to work on a multitude of ambiances to ensure powerful and beautiful images. As the harvester is orbiting around Earth, we were able to have very different moods from sunrise to sunset. For the Earth, we rely mainly on the resources available on NASA's and the European Space Agency website to make various realistic and cinematographic DMPs. To reduce render time, many shots were rendered with only a single frame, that was then projected in a 3D space of Nuke. I create a procedural setup that allows us to create satellites with different variation of shapes. Using this technique, we filled the space and presented it on a scale that demonstrates the urgency of space pollution.
For the space shots, I made a custom scatter HDA for the debris to suggest shots more efficiently. I also had to model the escape pod that I textured in Substance Painter.
For the last explosion, we decided to go for an underwater explosion look. As our entire artistic direction was based on water, it was a very natural choice. I decided to go for a full flip approach, playing with divergence inside of a flip tank. I then added a droplet layer on top of the first simulation, based on the vorticity and the velocity of the explosion itself.
To make sure the spaceship was ready for destruction, I procedurally selected the asset without thickness and add an extrusion layer on them. This way, I could easily create proxies and constraints based on the different materials, sizes and part of the station. Well, we hope you liked the making of. Thanks a lot.